Hello and welcome. I am here today to do another low-tech setup video. I have this Aquazen 4-gallon aquarium here, rimless, and I'm gonna see what I can do with it. The tank is going to be used for social media, just general enjoyment, and to showcase some of our inverts, botanicals, things like that. And to make it easy for me to switch species in and out of the tank to showcase. I have this nice little corner of the office to use for this tank. You can see I have the hardscape for the tank over here, and it will be growing in this corner. These are the pieces of hardscape I've selected. I don't have anything set in stone yet, but I'm going to experiment and see what looks really good in this aquarium. Alright, let's get started. First I'm using aqua soil down in the bottom. This will help all the root feeder plants have plenty of nutrients. I don't plan to add a light to this tank. I'm going to use the natural sunlight to help it grow. So having lots of nutrients is really crucial to letting it thrive. Next is the sand cap. This will keep the nutrients from the aqua soil from leaching into the water. And I'm just using dry sand. Just a quick note, this sand has been pre-washed before using. I think that looks good, so this is the perfect time to experiment with the hardscape. This is my main piece of hardscape. It's a pretty big piece of wood, and I'm not sure if it's going to fit, so I may need to trim it down a little bit. I really like how this looks right here, so I think I'm going to add some rocks and experiment with that a little bit more. And I love how this looks, so let's go ahead and mist it down and get it ready for planting. For my first plant, I want something long that comes across the back of the tank. So I chose Sagittaria subulata. This is dwarf Sagittaria. So it looks a little bit like a Vallisneria, but it stays a little bit shorter and is just a slightly smaller plant. Next, I'm going in with some Cryptocorin wentii. This is a pretty good mid-ground plant for a tank like this. It could even be a background plant. It does get a little bit taller. So I have the green variety, but I also have the bronze variety, and I will be using both. Next, I have some Lobelia cardinalis. This is also known as cardinal plant. This plant is easy, it grows very tall, and it also stays purple, which is really nice. Now for some smaller plants. I know that I want some of this. It is called Suswassertang. So I've attached it to this driftwood, and I'm just going to fit it in somewhere. Next, I'm going to do some smaller foreground plants. So I have Juncus repens. This is the lesser creeping rush. And one of the last plants I'm using is Cryptocorin parva. It is a very small cryptocorin. Next, I'm going to add a little more sand in some places so that the plants are weighted down properly. And then I will give it one last spray. I do plan to add one more plant. It will be a plant coming out of the top of the aquarium, and I am going to choose spider plant for that, but I'm going to add that later. Now that we have everything in place, it's time to fill the tank. And here we have the finished tank. I love how it turned out, and all of these are low-tech plants that should do really well with just sunlight from the window. And the goal with this tank is to showcase some of our botanical items, some of our inverts, show how to use some of our feeding items that we have, and I'm gonna do some more tutorials related to nano tanks. so be on the lookout for those. Here we are on day 3. You can definitely see the water has gotten a little bit cloudy. I've decided not to go with any filter on this just because I think the plants will do a good enough job of oxygenating it and also pulling out any nitrogen. But I've also got some assassin snails here today just to get a little bit of nitrogen going in the aquarium to get it cycled. And also because there's a chance that it could have little baby Malaysian trumpet snails in there, and I don't want them digging up any of the sand. These will be removed after a couple of weeks. I also have the last plant that I'm using for this setup. It is a spider plant. This plant will be able to go above the surface of the water, so it will have access to CO2. This will be super effective at controlling any nitrogen levels as well as controlling any algae that could possibly form by outcompeting it. So my plan is to fix it to the wood here, probably on this back side so that it's coming up behind the wood. I definitely need to fix this a little bit better onto the wood, but I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it long term at this point. I think I'm going to try tying it for now, but I don't want it to be unsightly in the aquarium. I could always tie it and then cover it up with some moss. The point of having this plant here is that it's going to grow really tall and it will finish off the nice jungle look of this aquarium. I also think it will blend in really nicely with the dwarf Sagittaria that I have growing in the back. I also noticed a place where I wanted another plant, so I'm adding it in right here. I can already see the assassin snails starting to move around. So that's the finished build for now. I can't wait to see how it grows in, and I can't wait to see how the sunlight works with the plants here. And thanks for watching.